Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 126 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. Today, Chris and I are excited to have Ryan McKenzie on with us from Tru Earth. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're just talking about football before we started. Cannot wait. A month away, so we can start rooting for the Chiefs again. I know you're not exactly a Chiefs fan, but you're a football
guy. I do enjoy my Sunday games.
Oh yeah, Sundays, that's the best, all day of football. But we could talk about that forever, for sure. But we're really excited to talk with you. It's a different angle we're coming from. We can't wait to hear your story about Tru Earth. I mean, it's an amazing brand. We can't wait to see what you're just everything that went into you growing it and started. We'll talk all about that, but then we're going to really talk about just what it means to have a mission-based business. We really want to touch on that as well. But before we dive into all that, Ryan, you've got the floor for a little while. Take us through your journey here. Give us your background of how this all came together for you and what Tru Earth is.
Yeah, I mean, it's my journey to this point's overnight success, 20 years in the making. I've been messing with online marketing and online business since literally probably 97, 98. So I've watched every trend. I've been victim of every Google algorithm change. I've had successes and failures along the way, and there's been really great highs, and there's been some lows where I've had to go back and literally get a job selling cell phones to pay the mortgage. So it's been a pretty crazy journey, but all those ups and downs, a lot of people break down when the downs happen. I mean, even myself included, but all the things that you kind of learn along the way are it's like playing in the farm league in a sports environment. You're learning the ropes, you're learning how everything works. So when you finally come into a position where you have an opportunity with something that could fly, that you've got the skills and you have perspective that you need to be successful when that opportunity kind of pops itself out from, I don't know, underneath your bed or wherever it's hiding.
Well, we can resonate with your story. I think people that have listened to this podcast before know that Chris and I've dabbled in everything, just like you're talking about. I mean, there wasn't a trend of making side hustle money that I didn't at least experiment with for years. And then you're right. Then one thing hits and it can be a success. And I love hearing stories. I mean, the downs, that's a part of the journey too. And they can be grueling. Chris and I have talked about different sleepless nights that we've each had in our journey. But when did the Tru Earth, when did this all start for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, we launched the business officially to the public on April 2nd, 2019. So it's 2 years, was that 3 months and 20 days or something like that. That was when we launched it. But leading up to that, it was probably about, a year, 2 years kind of leading up to that, where we were bouncing around ideas and considering it. My partner, Brad, his wife, has a step, I want to call him a stepbrother that he's a pilot and he travels around a lot, and he had an opportunity to buy into this patent or the company that owns a patent. And he had pitched my partner a couple of times, hey, you guys should do this $1 shave club for laundry detergent. And I was just brought it to Kevin and I, which are the other two partners. And we're it sounds like a cool idea, I guess, but how do you break in? First of all, how do you break into laundry detergent? And then second of all, from a direct response standpoint, and using media buying or other tactics to grow your business, how can you do this efficiently with a product that's generally so inexpensive? So we kicked it around for a while, and then my wife was pregnant with my third child, who's now 2. And I was having a lot of parental anxiety, things that I never really experienced earlier in my life because I didn't have kids. And like, I just, you always think I can take care of myself. Whatever happens will be good. Right. But as soon as you have kids, it's like, there's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to them in 20 years? Or what something happens to me? Are they going to have a job? Is artificial intelligence going to take over? Is like global warming going to become a thing? Are the ice caps going to melt? People going to die everywhere? And is there going to be water shortage? Is there going to be food shortage? Like, it just, things go through your mind. And I was getting, and like, even like Elon Musk was talking about the grim outlook of the future. Like is whatever happened in Terminator, Skynet, is that going to happen? Like, just all these things are going through my head, and it was giving me anxiety. And I would be talking to Kevin, my the other business partner, about it, and like, just like, kind of like, I always kind of felt like I was like virtue signaling or bitching about it because I was nervous for my kids. Anyways, that's a really long way of saying I had this parental anxiety. So one morning we were watching YouTube, one of those like unboxing shows, and they were unboxing like this treasure chest that was wrapped in plastic and had like a bunch of plastic toys that were wrapped in plastic inside of it. They're like those little dopamine bombs that kids love. By the time they finished opening all this plastic, and like all the toys were plastic too, but like there was this huge pile of plastic garbage. And I'm just like, I can remember having this moment where I'm like, man, consumerism has just like got to this like insane point. Like, I can't believe how much waste we make. And this virtue signaling was going through my head. Like, what's going on with, what can we do? And I finally thought, like, there's that laundry detergent product that we had talked about, but we'd never actually physically seen it. And I looked up the stats on laundry, and there's like 1 billion jugs of laundry detergent purchased every year in North America. And like, I think the stat is somewhere around 29% are recycled in some capacity. So that's like 700 million jugs are ending up in landfills. So I'm like, well, I wonder if that, this is what the product looks like, by the way. This is a strip of the brand. And like, that's to give you just an idea.
I'm a customer.
Yeah, right on, man.
When I saw your name, I was like, "Oh, Dustin, this is a big brand." This is a big brand.
But
you do, Chris. You
yeah.
use it?
My wife found them on an influencer. She's like, "What are these strips?" I'm like, "Let's get some." Yeah. So we got some.
Yeah. So yeah, they're we got like 500,000 customers. But what's crazy is we hadn't even seen the product, so we're like, let's get some of this sent to us and just try it, because I just thought like this weighs 1.7 to 2 grams, depending on like there's variances based on manufacturing. But like a load of laundry detergent weighs like between 30 and 45 grams, which is like an ounce to an ounce and a half. So like the amount of like, I just did not think that something that was so much less significant would be effective. So we brought some in, we tested it, and like, I'm like, well, those works pretty good. I mean, I didn't really know. No, did it get rid of the stink in my gym clothes? But my wife was like, these are great. So we tested it for a while and we were pretty happy. So let's try selling them. Let's whip something up. And if we can sell 150 of these in the first month, we'll carry on with it. And we moved more than 1,500 subscriptions in month one. And, fast forward, and we're sitting somewhere around 150,000 subscriptions and over 500,000 customers.
Jeez, goodness gracious. Let's break that down. How'd you get so many subscriptions so fast?
Well, I tattooed my entire body, and I've been parading around Vancouver just wearing underwear for the last 2.5 years. And it's pretty well so far. Like, yeah, like the standard channels that most people use, Facebook, Google, a lot of media buying.
Yeah, and just one person got it and tell their friends, and then keeps them rolling and rolling.
Yeah, it's like I was at this birthday party. Sorry, I talk so fast and so much.
No, keep going.
Love it. It wasn't a birthday party. I was at this party the other day, and like, it's crazy how many people know about the product now. I didn't know any of the people that were there. It was like somebody in my daughter's class, and she's 5. So I don't know them all very well yet. But I went there, and somebody's like, that guy's one of the Tru Earth guys. And I'm like, oh no. And then like, I got like swarmed, but like, people are like super nice about it. Right. I brought one my truck and grabbed some for everybody. But like, it's funny, like how our videos went so viral that it's like especially here, like Canada, people have seen our ads like 1 million times each. But like, everybody knows about it, and they talk about it. They tell me like, oh yeah, my sister was telling my wife about it, and my wife was telling their friends. And it's just, it's weird that it's a viral product, but yeah. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking for a sec.
No, that's so the traditional way would be find a product, launch it on Amazon, do PPC, maybe throw some Facebook ads out there. That doesn't sound like what you guys did.
No, yeah. So we did it kind of like the opposite of that. So we went D2C first. So we built a website, put up some ads, directed them to the site, made sales. And then we never jumped on Amazon. So we launched in April. We jumped on Amazon in July or no, August. I want to say August. And I honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never done anything on Amazon before, but I set it up and we went on vacation. We were at this place called Harrison Hot Springs here. My kids were like climbing all over like the slides in the jungle gym thing that's outside on the beach. And I'm like, oh, I should just go, maybe I'll log into my Amazon account and see what happened. And I was like, whoa, you sold like a few $100s worth of stuff. It's up. I guess we sold a few $100s worth of product. And I was like, wow, Amazon's pretty powerful. Cause I didn't do anything. It was just like, selling hundreds of dollars a day with like, I just literally put it up. Right. And then obviously got more elaborate.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm looking on here, the growth now. I mean, I'm looking at your listings on Amazon right now. I mean, you've got like 7,000, 8,000, 4,000 reviews. I mean, this is amazing. In that span of time, that's an impressive growth. And did you do advertising on Amazon as well, or did you just let your off Amazon traffic drive sales initially there?
Yeah, so good question. So I'm in. I don't know if you're familiar with Ezra Firestone, but I'm in his mastermind, and I met a couple of gentlemen in the group. They own a company called Tesmo, and they were like Amazon only sellers, and they did all sorts of crazy things inside of their business. So originally, Matt from Tesmo kind of helped me learn the ropes on the PPC side of Amazon. So he kind of gave me some guiding principles on what to use. We did a bit of PPC. Our ad spend was a little high when I was doing it, just because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I ran it for probably about a year myself, including, really the only thing we did on Amazon was Amazon ads, the PPC. I tried DSP for a bit, and I found that it gave really good attributed numbers, but when I turned it off, there was like literally zero change. So I stopped doing that. But they wound up taking over about a year after I started, and they were helping me the whole way. But they've been able to, we're still growing there, like at least 5% month over month without doing anything other than we're spending under 10% of our total sales, which I think is pretty good.
I'm still fascinated with this off Amazon launch process. That, I mean, I don't know. Like if somebody said, okay, you have $50,000 to spend, are you going to focus on off Amazon, or are you going to just put it all into PPC? I would probably select PPC because I just know that rope. I don't know the off Amazon rope yet. So what did you do? How'd you get started in that? Where's the first step? I don't even know where to go. What do you do for off Amazon type of marketing?
So everybody's got their own hammer, right? For me, I didn't even know how to use the Amazon hammer. So for me, I built multiple other, mid 7-figure brands in the past that were D2C, through Facebook ads and Google. So really I just I created a landing page that checked all the boxes on answering questions for people. And, I literally fired up some Facebook ads. And what's funny, the first day, the only person that purchased was somebody that I used when I had to sell cell phones. And I was telling you that somebody that I used to work with, I sent her the link and she was the first customer. I didn't even ask her to buy it. I'm like, hey, check out this new thing that we're doing. And the first day didn't get any sales. And I think day 2, we had a couple trickle in, and then it was day 3 when it started to pick up speed. Some other stuff that we did right off the bat when we were launching is we got the product in some subscription boxes. So basically seeded the product. And our product's one of those things that once you start using it, you're if you do 7 loads of laundry with this, you're not going to want to go back to dumping liquid all over your hands and all over and cleaning those stupid blue rings out of your cupboards and having to line your cupboards with cardboard so that you don't have like, I don't know, it's gross. You don't need to clean things. You're using the washing machine to clean your clothes. You don't need to like clean up the stuff you use to clean your clothes too, right? Like it's
well, even the space it takes up, like it's just this little pouch, and literally it's really small.
Yeah, so that's
how skinny that is.
That's equivalent of like one jug of laundry detergent. And then this, excuse me, this, which is like beside my head. I have a big head, but I mean, for context, the size of you can see this. This is 384 loads. That's 12 jugs.
It's like a milk jug, like a small milk jug.
It's small. It's like a loaf of bread. It's like it's like one Ryan McKenzie head, or not even half.
This is fascinating to me. I love stories like this, and I want to now go into, because you can see. You know, you talked about your personal mission early on, just like with and I can relate to the anxiety as a parent when you start having kids. Thinking, oh my God, there's a lot that can go wrong. But how did this mission just help propel this business, or help? I mean, when you have a mission like this, I'm sure it just makes it a lot more fun to be involved with, too.
Yeah. I mean, like business. There's the one thing that I always like kind of consider with businesses that I've had in the past, and I've juggled plenty of businesses simultaneously. And, you know, it'll be like a Thursday, you're driving home and you've got like 40,000 things you didn't finish, and you're thinking about all of them, and you're stressed out, and you're like, oh my God, I have so much things I have to do. And like, you start to like wonder, like, why am I doing all this? Like, especially like there's that phase in being an entrepreneur where you're not really making more money than you would if you had a job, or you're not making anywhere near as much as if you had a job, or you're making just a little bit more, but you're doing like, you know, it's like no big deal. It's like 80-hour weeks, no, whatever, you know, and people wear that shit like about part of my language, wear that like a badge of honor. Like I can't stand hustle culture either. I mean, I did it. I don't think that it was smart that I did it, but I don't do it anymore. I like when I come home, I hang out with my family. But back to what my point was, is that like when you get into those stages in your head where you're like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? It's really easy to say like, all right, I'm giving up on this. I'm giving up on money. But when you have a mission and you're actually trying to like make impact, whether it's like environmental or, you know, helping orphan kids or whatever it is, it's a lot harder to give up on like the planet or the kids or your cause, because, you know, the money winds up coming as a result of doing good and providing value. But, you know, you're going to get those times where you're like, oh my God, this is so hard, but you're not going to be like, I want to quit, because you're not quitting on money. You're quitting on the thing that you care about.
What's neat to me is looking at your product is how evident the mission is in all of it. I mean, it covers the whole gamut. I mean, you're getting rid of plastic. It's tiny, so you can ship more environmentally friendly. I'm sure I haven't gone into everything. Chris can tell more because he uses it, but I'm sure it's better for you.
Well, it's just the space. Like, okay, so to kind of break it down, we go buy laundry detergent. We get 2 big jugs of it. We got to carry it around. The space this thing doesn't take up at all. It's like it just sits right on the shelf. And he's right about like the rings. Like you got the blue rings everywhere, and then you got to pour it in there, and you just like throw a strip in there, let it run, and you don't have all that mess anymore. I'm really curious to know, like, how many jugs do you think you've prevented from being in landfills? Like, is there a way to calculate that?
Yeah, so we do we basically have the math always on the website. Right now it's I'm just pulling it up. I know it's over 4 million jugs that we've eliminated so far.
Wow.
I think it's 4 million according to the site. I think it was probably updated a few days ago, where we've eliminated 4 million, or potentially eliminated 4,617,462 jugs of laundry from, you know, ending up in landfills.
It's impressive. Now, normally in spaces like this, when somebody comes out with an innovative product, the big brands start to see it, and then they start to make their own version of that. How come that really hasn't happened? I don't really see other brands making their own.
Well, I mean, the first thing is it's patented, so that like, you know, there's some legal, like there are knockoffs. There's a bunch of knockoffs that are out there now that basically use Chinese manufacturing that don't care about the how legal things are. I've even had them reach out to me, these manufacturers, trying to offer me their services, literally using the copy off our site. But
Wow.
so I mean, it's patented, so that helps. You know, they're not the big companies don't want to go and I guess put themselves at risk. But you know, there's been conversations with different companies that are interested in the technology. At this point, we have a pretty huge head start, and like I think for these guys, like I don't want to say any names because I don't want to like get anybody mad, but like, you know, their product life cycle, it's not like they're not as nimble as a small company like us, where they can't just be like, oh, we're going to start this new product tomorrow. They got to go get the product, they got to bring it in, they have to do like we've already done tons of testing. They've got to go and do that whole process. They need to do market research. They need to do like studies against people. Like they don't just jump in to businesses like somebody that's like businesses that are more nimble, that aren't publicly traded, that are, you know, so there's I can't tell you every reason. I don't know. That's kind of just what I would speculate if I was speculating.
What so your story, this the amount of growth you had quickly is intriguing to me, because that can bring up a lot of challenges when you're growing. I mean, and not at your scale by any means, but both Chris and I have had challenges because growing fast is tough. What was the toughest part of that for you? Was it inventory, or
man, there's just like
cash flow? What was it?
I mean, cash flow, there's always cash flow, like basically, and we don't have any debt. I mean, we have very, 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 very little debt. But like, just like, yeah, when you're growing that quickly, your cost of goods, like just having to bring in inventory, like you said, is a challenge. And like being able to pay for that as the customers come in, it just causes cash flow challenges. We also grew, like we were shipping everything from Canada before. Like we just recently switched to using distribution direct in the US, which is a better experience for Americans, so it gets them quicker and whatnot. But like, you know, I live in a really dense, like Vancouver is the 4th most dense population in North America after like Manhattan and 2 other New Jersey cities. I can't remember what they are, but like, so there's just not a lot of space, and real estate's bloody expensive. So, you know, we still have troubles finding warehouse space and like finding warehouse space that allows us to grow. Like the one that we have right now is about 13,000 square feet, and we got it last we moved in there like last August, September, and like we had already maxed it out. Like if we didn't move to distribution in the US, we would have been stuck. So there's so many things, like hiring. We have about 240 staff now. So like trying to hire, like for a while we were understaffed, and then we went up becoming overstaffed, and it's just like trying to find that balance. And honestly, like I've built a number of like we said, mid 7-figure brands before, but this is like, you know, getting into the mid 8-figure range, and things like there's just so many different pieces of the business that like I just have never had to deal with before. So there's like been a lot of, for me, it's just like growing, not just growing as a business person, but just growing as a person, like figuring out how to plan better, figuring out how to budget better. Like, you know, accounting has never been my strong point, like learning all these things and like learning them quickly because you don't have a choice. And just the speed of all of it is, it's obnoxious. It's awesome, but it's like holding on to a runaway train at the back by the skin of your fingernails, and hoping that you can stay on without slowing it down.
I got a few questions. My first one is somebody who's starting out, they're medium seller, 5 figures a month, but they have a subscription product. What advice would you give that seller? Like, you're in a subscription business. How do you get from 6 to 7 to 8? What would you suggest them what they do to grow that fast, or to grow like a Tru Earth?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you want to be like, I think what happens is people get, when they first start, especially if they start getting some traction, is they get really excited about the growth, and then they get like addicted to the growth. And the long-term success of subscription-based businesses is really in the lifetime value and creating an experience that keeps people on. So I think once you establish that what you're doing is working, build that foundation that of the customer experience, so that you're going to be able to keep people on for as long as physically possible, and keep them happy and keep the experience good, and keep them referring people. Because one issue that we saw at the beginning is we didn't offer proper frequency options. And what happens is, if somebody starts getting an abundance of your product, and what happens is, instead of going like, oh sweet, I got my Tru Earth came in the mail, it turns into like, oh man, I got like 3 packages of this, and it's piling up in my laundry room. And then every time they do laundry, they're getting dissonance to your product. They're like, oh man, I gotta cancel this, I gotta pause it, I gotta do something about this, or I'm gonna get another package. And so what you wind up doing is you're building a negative association to your brand, and they're not going to want to go and resubscribe when they run out of those 3 to 4 packages, because all they're going to be able to think of is like the negative association that they've built in their head with your brand. So not only is it important that you make it easy for people to pause, cancel their subscription, you want to make it so that they can pick frequencies that are in line with their consumption. Because like for Tru Earth, if you're one person, you might use a package over like 6 months. But if you're a family of 5, you might use a package every 3 weeks. And every customer is important, and you want, from a brand perspective and a longevity perspective, you want your customers to have nothing but positive associations with your brand.
I love that take. Like, you don't even think about that. That's just a totally different mindset. But you are right. When you do get too much of something, you're like, damn, I gotta get rid of this stuff. It keeps coming in. And then that does put a negative thought towards that brand. So I love that frequency. My second question: what's next for Tru Earth? What else are you guys doing? I know some SKUs I see on Amazon here. Are there more SKUs in the works? Like, maybe there's a new dishwasher product coming out. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of products. Like what's next?
Yeah, I mean, we're always working on new products. So we don't specifically, we haven't decided on the specifics of what's going to be the next like CPG specific product, like the consumable, but we have a mix. For us, our goal is to eliminate plastic in the kitchen, the bathroom, and the laundry room. So you can expect to see products that that are going to cover all of those three rooms of your home. We might eventually offer more rooms in your home, but that's our start. And our goal it was originally to eliminate laundry jugs, and our goal now is to eliminate plastic from the home, in consumer goods.
I love it.
That is, I mean, it just shows you how if it starts with a mission, the product innovation and all that, it just comes straight from that mission. And you're able to, I mean, I can think of like 1,000 products now that you would need to come up with to actually eliminate plastic from all those areas. Because it's everywhere.
And they're probably already working on it. They're probably going to figure it out.
Yeah. And then I think that is actually like the product development is tough for like in a consumable space, like, stuff that's produced by like co-packers. Like there's products that we've like considered multiple times, and like the co-packers, like it's tough to produce these things yourself unless you happen to have a facility that you own by some like random stretch, but then you're also a manufacturer. But like a lot of the products that you want to sell are produced by co-packers that have already marked the product up so much that it doesn't leave a lot of margin left to actually have success with the product. So there's a lot of challenges when it comes to product development, and like leaning on how much like how much should you produce of this thing? Like, should we run a test with this? Like, and like, I can go on and on. Like, co-packers don't want to share the formula until you've like hit a certain threshold of sales with them. So like, you know, you work with a co-packer, you don't even own your formula until it's just like, it's ridiculous. But, you know, we don't work with co-packers right now, but, you know, we're working our best to create products that continue to further our cause.
Was there ever a thought of going on Shark Tank? Just curious.
Man, it's hilarious. I've been asked that question so many times, and I have so many buddies that have either been on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and you know, they kind of it gives you a bit of a boost, but yeah, for the most part, I don't know. It just, I think right at this point in the game, I think we're too big for the show. Like, the valuation would be too high because of our revenue levels are, you know, pretty significant. But yeah, I've considered it. But you know, the buddies that I've had that have been on it just kind of they give one or two of them really positive, and then some of the other ones are like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Cool.
I want to touch on what you said earlier about the options for subscribing, because I thought that was really fascinating. I went to your listing on Amazon, at least for the laundry detergent, and on the subscribe and save, you've got like 12 different options. They can do 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 5 weeks. When you first launched on Amazon, did you have that strategy already in place from your off Amazon experience, or did you test this out did you start with like once every month or something simple?
So when we first started, we couldn't even go on subscribe and save because you're not eligible until I think you've been selling for 3 months, I think it is. But to be totally honest, I don't even remember. I think I just chose when I was setting it up, like the widest spectrum of options. So there wasn't, I'd love to say that I did something super smart, but I'd just be lying to you. I think that my guys at Tesmo might have tweaked it a bit to offer more options, but yeah, that's just a coincidence.
The other thing I see on your listing here is there's a badge that says Climate Pledge Friendly. Chris and I love talking about badges because how they can just dramatically improve your conversion rate, no matter what it is, whether it says Amazon's Choice or if there's a coupon or something. How did you get that badge? Is that something that Amazon just gives, or is that a program that you're a part of? Or
yeah, I think my team applied. I think they applied for it to Amazon, and I think I might be wrong. But I think we had to supply some data, and then we qualified, and they plugged it on there. But again, I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to lie to you. So I can't say that with 100% confidence because I'm not the one that actually did the work for it.
But that's great, though. That's Amazon backing your mission. I think that's fascinating. Let's talk about just in general with missions. If you're consulting somebody who's starting a new business, you have to really solidify that mission statement beforehand, I'm assuming, right? And it can't, because you see a lot of products that try to do this. It'll be some product over here, but they'll say, oh, we donate $1 to this cause or something, but it's kind of disconnected. And it's like, is that really part of your mission? How do you see that when you're laying that out, just defining that mission and going for it?
Yeah. So, it's kind of like your story brand or whatever, right? So, you could use Donald Miller's story brand as the framework. I'm pretty sure he has some documents on his website that they're like fill in the blanks, but like you can basically take the exact same story brand framework or like Joseph Campbell, hero's journey framework, and apply it to whatever your cause is. So like, you have your hero, which is your customer. You have your guide, which is you. So it would be Tru Earth, or like Yoda if it was talking Star Wars. You have your tool, which is the thing that helps them overcome the villain, which in this case would be the laundry strip itself or other plastic-free products. You have your villain, this is basically what your cause needs to point at. So our villain is plastic waste. There's some other things that we do, but like you can only have one villain. Like if you think of movies with villains, like how many movies with 2 villains are any good? Like everybody's seen Spider-Man 2. That was friggin' terrible. You got to have one villain. Like if you have 2 villains, it's just disconnected. And also your audience or your avatar, it's hard to like, it's like it's hard to get people to buy into 2 things or to hate 2 things evenly. So the villain in this case is plastic. So the hero is trying to make a change in their life. The hero is the customer. They want to live a better plastic free life and, take care of the planet. They're looking for a way to do this. They're looking for a way to make the change. Tru Earth comes along and says, hey, you know what? You're the hero here. We want to see you reach your goals. We want to see you become the person that you want to be. We're here to show you some tools that you can use to overcome the villain of plastic and become the person that you've always dreamed of. Here's some options. And like, that's a really simplified version of Hero's Journey. You can replace that with your own brand, and the villain and the product you sell being the tool.
Such a great story. I mean, and you're doing this, and I can't tell you how. It's so strange. I actually, in full honesty, haven't heard of Tru Earth before. Chris, he's a customer. Now you're gonna have another customer because you know what I can't stand. I don't like plastic. Number one, that's obviously this polluting, but just there's laundry detergent is like splashed on everything in my house. I mean, I've got 2 kids, they do it sometimes, and it's like a disaster. And just thinking about throwing one of these sheets in is amazing. It's a really cool, innovative product. I love it.
I appreciate that. I mean, one thing that I think has allowed us to be successful in the environmental space or even laundry detergent space, like even if this wasn't being sold as an environmental product, it's incrementally better than what's currently available. So yes. With laundry detergent with eco-friendly products as a whole, usually people either have to give up the efficacy of the product or they have to give up, it's harder to use. So there's more friction to use the product. And then usually there's a price issue. But like for us, one of the reasons why this has been so successful is because it is easier to use. It works just as well, if not better, than what they're currently using. And it might seem like it's more expensive from looking at it from the outside looking in. But when you look at like the price you're paying per load with like liquid laundry detergent, the average person or the average consumer in North America over pours by like 30 to 40% because those lines that are inside that little lid, they're ambiguous. Like there's a line here, there's a line here, there's a line here. I would just fill it up until it overflowed, or I would just free pour in the end of my old liquid laundry detergent days because I'm like, I don't even know what's right. So when you take that into account, you're like, okay, well, the cost per load of liquid laundry detergent just went up by, 40, 50%. And, for us, if most people, they start with like a smaller subscription and then they want it moving into the big 384 pack, because like I said, that's an entire year's worth of laundry detergent. And you don't have to think about it again for a while.
I'm an overpour big time.
Habitual overpour.
I am. I'm like, this is going to get it a whole lot more clean.
It looks good.
And yeah, that's hilarious. That would cure me right there. I would be saving a ton of money on that. I do like the point you bring up though about the part of the success of your product is not only the mission, but you actually made a product that's easier for the consumer. So I mean, it's like even if they aren't attached to your mission, you're getting your mission accomplished, and you're making it easier. I think that is probably a good takeaway for people who are making a mission-based type business. Is it is critical that, I mean, you can't force somebody to use a product that's way more difficult to use just because it helps something. And that's a hard thing to get. I think, it's even like electric cars. That's a stumbling block right now. I mean, it's like you can only drive it for a little while, then you got to charge it forever. That's a hard to get a lot of consumers past that point because they would like to drive across the country. And that may not be possible. So I think that's a really interesting take on it's a mission plus innovation that makes that product good.
Yeah, like if you were selling steel wool as toilet paper and it saved a life for every time you bought a package, people would probably buy the first package, and then like it doesn't matter what is happening on the other end of the mission if it's tearing them up.
Yeah, that might not get a whole lot of repeat purchases.
Yeah, a lot of bad reviews.
No matter how good it is. Oh. Ryan, this is a cool story. We really appreciate you coming on and telling us about this. I think this is really helpful to our audience. I mean, we have people that are in all phases of their journey and people that are looking to start. I think if you're looking to start a brand right now, having a mission, creating a company that has subscriptions. Chris and I talk about this all the time. That's a great way to start now because you can get that returning customer. There's really good conversation. We'll have to have you back on again in the future to talk more. Like, obviously, the landscape, e-commerce landscape, Amazon, it changes all the time. So there's always neat things to talk about. But you definitely got a new customer out of this. Well worth your time. I'll be.
This is how I actually made all the sales. I do one podcast a week, and like I convert one to two podcasters a week to customers.
I love it. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. It was great to hear your story. So like I said, we will definitely do it again. And for everybody out there listening, if you like great content like this, hearing amazing stories like Ryan and Tru Earth, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Whatever platform you're listening to right now, you can subscribe, leave us a review, let us know how we're doing. And you can also see these live streamed. We live stream them to Solozo's Facebook page and Solozo's YouTube channel. So make sure you're liking and subscribing those channels as well. You can turn on notifications so you know when we go live. You can comment on here if you'd like to ask questions. So make sure that you do that. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back at this again tomorrow. See you, everybody.